Good morning, everybody. This is Hadaka Guy in the ghost town of Clifford, Nevada. We stayed here last night. That's where we parked. We had a beautiful overlook of that entire valley out there. And even cooler yet, we're parked right next to an old, over that way, mining operation. Pretty neat. This is an old ghost town from the turn of the century. Right back behind me there, you can see off in the distance is, right over there, is a stone structure, one of the original structures from the ghost town. This structure, or this town, started in 1905 when silver was discovered here. And by 1906, it had about 100 residents, a saloon, and several small buildings. And then shortly after that, it peaked, I believe, in 1908, 1909 period. There was a total population of about 500 people here in town. I'm going to flip this around so you guys can see the cool ore bin that I'm hiking up to. Here we go. So yeah, at its peak, there was about 500 residents, had a saloon, had a post office. They built a road that went from Clifford here all the way over to Goldfield. So the ore they were pulling out of the ground here was being railed, or taken on, taken on that road, haul road, to Goldfield for processing. This is a mine that you definitely want to be very careful walking around. There is absolutely tons of vertical shafts everywhere here. As an example, as we walk over to this ore bin here, right here on my right, is an example of one of those. And if we walk up and take a peek, you can see, I'll use my Go-Go Gadget stick here to show you guys a little better view. But that is not something you want to fall into. So wood is so well preserved out here in the desert. It's so dry and arid that, that's probably original construction, that 1905, 1906 time frame. I'm standing on the haul road, so the wagons would come in on this road down to that ore bin, and ore would load them up, and then the road would head out somewhere towards Goldfield. I'm not sure where the original road is. This is pretty neat up here as well. This is one of the cooler mines I've been to that's got quite a bit of old relics left. Absolutely love seeing all this stuff. So this is where the old head frame would have been. You can see what's left of the old winch here, or the hoist drum. There's the old hit and miss engine, what's left of that would power this drum here. And then right over there you can see that's where the head frame used to come up. So they would have had a pulley on the top, and this winch would have went over the pulley and then down the shaft over there. We'll show you that here in just a second. All this tin laying around was probably the hoist house. So this was built around the hoist drum to keep the weather off of it. Have to be careful walking around. Yeah, and somebody's busted off the piston on it. So that's just the rear half of the case of that engine that used to power the hoist there. Pretty cool. And then this is where the head frame would have been. We'll go to a wide angle here. That's one of the massive beams that would have supported it. And here's the collar for the mine shaft itself. I'll use my stick again to show you guys a peek inside. There's a ladder on that side. And if we come over to this side, I'm not sure what the total depth of that is. But yeah, so the ore would have been lifted out of that collar there and then transported by track over here to the ore bin to get it ready for those carts to take it. There's the old tracks leading out to the ore bin there. I flew my drone earlier today and peeked in the top there. It's full of sticks and bird nests. You can kind of see it on that left chute there. There's an old ladder going up the side. So this entire area is just littered with holes, with mine shafts everywhere. Looks like about by 1910 this was all played out. Most of the town was gone. There was another gentleman that continued to work it for a while. He built a mill here on site, and I think that is probably his mill workings over there. So if you look off in the distance, right over there, there's some structures, concrete bases, and then all of that finer tailings out there. I think that might have been where his mill was located. Not sure. And then in the late 20s, there was, the guy in the, he was hauling ore still. In the late 20s, a gentleman bought this claim and built a mill. So that may have been where that was at. Had my dates off there a little bit. Yeah, we'll walk over here and show you a couple more of the shafts. Here's another one. It's a nice pit of despair you would not want to fall into. Yep, that would not be good. No getting out of that, especially out here by yourself. When you're traveling solo like this, I'm not gonna take any risks. Yeah, let's walk down here. There's another pretty cool one. So I did scramble around. I got in late last night, right before sunset, and I did scramble around, and I was excited to check everything out. So figured this morning, now that the sun's up, before I head out of here, I'd take you guys on a tour. So here's another small pit here. And this one still has its wooden collar and part of its wooden door left. You want to be fairly cautious as well when you're around these. These sides are shored with timbers, and you can see, hopefully see that one in there. It's bulging. Yep, goes down a ways. But yeah, you don't want to put a lot of weight right on the edge and have that give way and cave in. And these shafts are just everywhere. Walk over this way. This one over here is pretty neat. So timber was a rare resource, so they used whatever they could. You've seen back there, those were saw cut boards. This one here is shored with locally sourced timbers. Isn't that wild? Not sure how deep that one is either, but we can try the stick method again and see if that gets you a little better view. It's probably so dark down there that you're not going to see much. Need a longer Go-Go Gadget stick. So many of these mine sites like this are barred off, or the BLM has just completely closed them. They do remediation work and they remove all of this old material, which is an absolute shame. I love seeing them left like this in their natural state for folks like myself to come out and explore. With the proper cautions, it can safely be done. Here's another shaft here. This one is also collared by locally sourced timbers, it looks like. Nice and loose. We're not going to play around that one. Coming up on the back side of the ore bin here. I'll show you how well preserved this ore bin is. I'm going to get you out of the sun here so you can see a little better. There we go. Absolutely gorgeous. It looks like this one may have been another ore bin coming out of the side of the hill there. Yeah, look at those timbers in there. That's cool. You'll have to forgive me, I'm still a photographer at heart, just now starting to get into the video stuff, so you'll see the camera pause once in a while as I snap a picture while I'm taking video. That's pretty neat. Look at those ore chutes there. That left one still has its metal covering on it, its little chute, and this right one here has its little wooden slide-in block there, still there. And then it would head across the desert to Goldfield. Wonder how many mules it would take to haul an ore cart full. Had to be a fairly lengthy trip to make it clear over to Goldfield from here. So we'll walk back this direction here, over back towards the van, and I'll show you what's left of the old town site over there. So there was a fire, I believe, in 1949 that burned the remaining two wooden structures that were standing. I think this brick foundation over there is one of those structures involved in that fire. You can see evidence of charred wood on it, which is unfortunate. Would have been neat to see that how it originally was. But looking at the stone masonry is still pretty cool. Still gives you a sense of what it might have been like out here back in those days. Well, I will save you the long walk over there, and I'll pick you up over by the town site. Okay, we are approaching the old town site of Clifford here. So there again, back in the day, it had a peak of 500 residents, 100 houses. When you look at these areas now, it's hard to imagine what it used to look like. There's very little left out here in the desert. There's several old dump sites. There's one off to my left. We're going to see some off to my right up here. Those are always fun to look around. Lots of different cans, broken bottles. See if you can find anything that you recognize. There's a Model A frame right as you come up the hill here, sitting in the dirt. Still has its fenders and running boards on it. That is pretty neat. Yeah, look at that. That thing's been out here for probably 100 years or more. Still solid. Everything gets a little light surface rust and then just stays that way. Here's another structure over here that's fallen. If you look here, you can see the foundation right there. So you can kind of see what the overlay would have looked like. Looks like that was a wall or a door possibly. I think that's a window frame here. Yep, we can get any kind of view we want out there. Put that back down. So this one escaped the fire. I put my proper hiking shoes on today. Lots of sharp rocks, nails everywhere. There's the old front porch steps. Guess it could have been a back step. Think of how many tired miners came from the workings over there and climbed up those stairs to get a meal and hit the sack. Get ready for the next day. Here's a dump site with 100 houses out here and that many people. There was a lot of dump sites. A lot of cans. You can see how that one was open there. Sometimes you can see something written on them, sometimes not. That one has something written on it. General Can Company, Chicago. So that is a sealed can. Sometimes you can find the old lead sealed cans. Look at that. Heel of a boot. Put that right back where we found it there. Take a quick picture of it. Yeah, lots of relics everywhere. A piece of a stove over there. Have to walk into the sun a little, so hopefully you guys are seeing okay. There's a cool old hinge off of something. Another reminder when you're out here is please don't take anything home. Once the relics are removed, they're history are basically removed with it. You know, please only take photos and memories home with you, so others, such as myself and future generations, can come out here and explore these. If everybody took something home with them, eventually there wouldn't be anything left for anybody to see. And it is such a cool thing to come out here and explore. Looks like another residence or something was right here at one time. There's an old, part of an old cast iron stove, I think. Yep, looks like the oven unit down there. And this is part of the, where the little grates would go at the top. So this would be your cooktop surface. Let's walk over here just a little and see if there's anything cool. Look at this, this is neat. That's pretty cool there. Who knows what that held at one time. Could have been whiskey. Who knows? I did find a cool little can down here I'll show you when I was poking around last night. That's kind of a neat piece of glass. Square bottom there. Nothing printed on it. Here it is. Let me turn around so I'm not facing the sun, and I'll see what, who knows what this is. Anybody recognize that? I'll give you a hint. You eat it in the morning. It is a log cabin maple syrup can. So originally, before it got all crushed, that would have looked like a little log cabin. You can kind of see its shape there on the end. Yeah, those are fairly common to find out on these old abandoned sites like this. Along with Prince Albert chewing tobacco, lots of oysters, cans, sardine cans, evaporated milk, all kinds of stuff. Looks like an old wooden bed frame, maybe. Maybe. Another part of a dump. Every little gully has tons of piles of these rusted tin cans. You can see how they opened it there. Popped a hole in each side. Let's walk over to this structure. So this is the most predominant structure here in town still. The masonry work is pretty neat on this one. Look how nice these corners were cut in this stone. And they'd fill the gaps, and then they had some kind of plaster that they would, concrete type plaster they would put over the outside. Here's a couple old bed frames, some more cans. You can see here the charred wood from that fire back in the late 1940s. Go to a wide angle for you here. Looks like somebody's slept in here and had a campfire. And right out of this door here is the old root cellar. Here's another piece of metal. I'm not sure what that is. There's a piece of pottery. Some kind of bowl. Here's the root cellar. You can see the roof is collapsed. The entrance is still open over here. So in the summertime, that would keep your food items quite a bit colder, being down in that root cellar like that. Warmer in the winter. Looks like here is another one. This one was made out of stone, similar to the structure behind it. I'm not sure what that was, that structure, if that was a house, part of the mining operations. What an incredible view out here. It was a great place to camp, super peaceful, super quiet, had it all to myself. Beautiful storms rolling through last night. There was storm clouds all along those ridges. You could see rain going. I tried to do a time lapse, but I forgot to clear my memory card, so I only got a couple seconds of time lapse last night, unfortunately. Would have been a really cool time lapse. I'll have to try that one again another time. Taking another photo of the old car there before we head out. Yeah, whoops, whoa, that's the town of Clifford. It's not too far off the highway. There's a highway way off in the distance down there. You can see at night, you can see some lights coming. It's a 2-track dirt road getting in here. 4-wheel drive is not necessary. There's a couple fairly sandy spots that you have to keep a little momentum up. Also, there's a couple fairly good little washouts that are about 2 feet deep that you got to drop down into and pop back out of. So high clearance is important, even though you don't really need 4-wheel drive to get in here. I would not try this in a van that has lower clearance, like a road track, something with the fiberglass skirts on it. You would not make it very far. Although you could park down further towards the highway and walk in, and you can still see all the cool stuff here. So we're just now popping over the hill where the van's at again. We are gonna head out, I believe, to Project Faultless next. It's an underground nuclear test site and that the government did. And you can actually drive right out to ground zero and park right next to the actual site itself. So we're gonna do that next and say goodbye to this awesome view and this fun place to explore. So we'll see you guys further down the trail.
Mm-hmm.